Hello everyone. Welcome to our Back to Lab webinar series part 3 brought to you by Merck Life Science Malaysia and Young Scientists Network Malaysia. I'm your friendly moderator for today, Catherine from Merck Life Science. I am super excited to have you here today, yeah? Excited about all the conversations we're going to have with our three distinguished guests on about career in science. Now, before we move on, let me remind you of a few things, yeah? Now, for those who actually have registered with us via the post that we have put up on the promotion advertisement, we will be selecting 10 lucky winners to actually win away our Merck goodie bag as a token of appreciations for your support. Okay, now this webinar was designed for you in our mind, our fellow researcher, our science graduate students, our master and PhD student, and even including you, those that who have joined commercial workforce. Now we know that there is a lot of questions about what we do post graduation. So even at these junctions of our career path, now for that, leave us your questions, comment, or even feedback at Merck Life Science Malaysia Facebook or Young Scientist Network Malaysia Facebook. Leave us your comment, leave us your questions, and I'll get our guests to actually answer your doubt, clarify your thinking that have been keeping your mind for some time. For they are the top of the top that we're actually getting for you for today. Yeah. Now, oftentimes we make assumptions about peoples and things very quickly based on our past experience and also limited knowledge. We assume a PhD graduate will likely to become a lecturer. And sometimes we have advice that probably if upon graduations of undergraduate, if you do not know what to do, probably take a master or PhD first then. Yeah. And for those that actually have, dream to actually start up their own business, they thought that it could merely be a dream to be your own boss with a science graduate. Now, is it true then actually? Yeah. Now, the disadvantage of making such assumptions is that more often than not, that we might be wrong. And that's why for the next 60 minutes, I'll bring you to talk to the expert that will tell you the true story about the facts and people or things that you might have for those that for you to consider or for you to actually make into your thinking process when you actually chart out for your next career plan. Yeah, I can't wait to actually to introduce you to our first guest of today. She's the true evidence of success of bringing science into entrepreneurship as the first woman who graduated from with a PhD from in stem cell and tissue engineering from National University of Malaysia. Dr. Jezamine Lim, together with her team at Cell Biopeutics Resources, they has successfully developed and commercialized stem cell therapy and cosmetic products related to stem cell. Dr. Lim, a firm believer of women empowerment, is very clear on her vision is having people enjoy healthier, longer, and happier lives, which is why she drives a business of stem cell and laughter together. Yep, you hear it right. It's laughter. As the co-founder and CEO of the Joke Factory, Dr. Lim has put Malaysia onto the map as the Southeast Asia comedy hub. Let us welcome Dr. Jessamine Lim Iskandar
Hi
to our
everyone,
webinar
how are
now.
you?
Hello, Dr.
Yes, Catherine,
Jessamine.
hi.
It's
Yes,
so
thank
good
you
to
for
have you
having
here.
me.
It's our honor, it's our pleasure, Dr. Jessamine. Just one quick
Thank you,
questions,
Catherine.
just
Sure.
tell us what keeps you motivated to venture into so many different business of diverse, from diverse field.
Okay, so I think business has been my passion for quite some
Mhm.
time. So even when I was in med school,
Yep.
I have started my own venture. So when I was in my third year of med school, so I was actually driven to pay my own school fees. That was
Oh.
how I ventured into business. So I didn't want to burden my parents, and we were struggling financially as well. So I told my dad,
Mhm.
you know what, since you are in the logistic line and I am in the science industry. So I was actually working hand in hand with a cosmetic lab. to formulate ampules, if you ever heard of it. It's like small, tiny
Yeah.
facial ampules or serum. It was
Mm-hmm.
this era, it was like 15 years to 18 years ago, actually.
Okay.
So I've successfully developed that with a biotech company, and we started exporting. And then I literally after med school, yeah, it was a very good business. So I started off actually, yeah, third year of med school, and that was my passion. I thought, yeah, business is something that I enjoy doing, and it's
Mm-hmm.
always a learning process, and we learn new things every single day, and it's challenging. So that's
Mm-hmm.
my personality. I think I love challenges. So from there it all started. And then I finished my med school, went into my clinics, and um, and I realized it was a normal part, from a medical graduate, you're a doctor now, everyone goes to a houseman, their MO, and I felt the whole hierarchy was very, that was like the norm lah. So I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to venture into something else. So number one, I thought the working hours for me, it didn't suit me well, because that time
Mm-hmm.
I had someone old that I was taking care of as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a personal thing, was juggling two things. It was not working. So I was looking, what, with my medical degree in hand, what else could I do? That was when I started asking a lot of questions. And in the whole journey of discovering, I met many amazing individuals. My late mother-in-law's doctor was Tan Sri Rizwan. He's actually a cardiologist in Pantai
Oh.
Medical. And he then told me, you know what, Jess, with your personality of you're challenging, you want to find out things more, and I
Mm-hmm.
literally, I'm always quite chatty and So he's like, venture into research. It's you. I'm like, research? Are you
Oh.
kidding me? I'm now jumping from clinical to research. It's actually a huge jump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I know what I'm getting myself into. And I even met ex-pengara of universities and all. They were actually, yeah, get into research, Jezamine, da, 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 da. So I'm like, okay, let's venture into it. And I met Prof. Ruzima in Tissue Engineering Center in UKM then. And I told myself, for me, when I venture into something, I have to be all passionate about it, and I have to be authentic with what I do, love what I do, wake up feeling excited every day, because that's the thing. I think most people waking up not loving what they do,
Mm-hmm.
go to work and then complain, I don't like my job, da da da. But that's your day, and you're gonna have a bad day, and you're not gonna produce anything positive out of it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then I went, met Prof. Rizima, and wanted to get myself into research. And yes, it was a huge jump, clinical to research. Clinical, it was all very structured. You had
Mm.
textbook, you have your lectures that come into classes and things like that. Whenever you are research, you don't have all that. It's literally about reading your journals, going to the
Yeah.
library, and the whole library you're meant to actually read it. It was not easy at all. So I went through again, soul searching, thinking of what I like to venture into, my niche, my interest, my passion, about a year. It took me a year. And I went
Mm-hmm.
into the lab actually in my second month itself. I tag
Mm-hmm.
along. Yeah, I tag
Mm.
along with researchers, with scientists. So this is what you do, this is how you culture cells. So yeah, and I found out that it's my calling. I love doing it. It doesn't matter what my age was at that time. It doesn't matter of my gender. And only when I graduated my PhD, and then I realized I was the only woman there.
Mm-hmm.
And my
Mm-hmm.
teammates were all male. I was not even aware of that at that point. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, it's about discovering what you love, one,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to make sure you're very passionate about it, two,
Mm-hmm.
and commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment is really important. When you
Mm-hmm.
step into science, about research, it's about your commitment. You have to make sure you complete your proposal. That's what you came up with. So
Mm.
when you have jotted down something and you came up with your proposal, it is the student's responsibility to complete it. So at the end of the day, I feel it does a lot to do with personality as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, keeping your words and staying true to what you believe in is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you very well, Dr. Jessamine. It's really committing to what is true to yourself. It's us that we have to answer to, and not anybody else that could give reference.
Yeah.
But yeah, stay true and committed to ourselves. Thank you for having. I mean, to be here. Yeah, Dr. Jessamine. Now, next, let us joining us today is a deep-rooted U.S. Lecturer from Universiti Sains Malaysia, Pat Dean, as he is known by many, whom I am inspired to actually learn about his philosophy as an academician, is to teach and guide his student to graduate life with honors. As I listened to him on how he supported his student in understanding the end game of learning, I really got envy with the students that they could have Pak Din as their life mentor. At a personal level or at a cellular level, Patin is aspired to become a person that can provide different learning experience. And of course, he's committed to provide supports to the university besides just teaching, learning, and research. Dr. J, could we have Pak Din on the screen to have a word with everybody? Hi, Pak Din. Yeah, Pak Din, we have to unmute your microphone a bit.
Yeah, right.
Yep,
Okay,
now we
Nazreen.
got you. Mhm.
Hi, Catherine. Hi, Catherine. Thank you for
Hi,
having me.
Padin.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure on our side. Yeah. Just one quick question, Padin. As I received your biography, I was drawn to one statement. And that statement goes like this. Those that make impact in teaching life are romantics. Now, probably I lack of the romance part. Probably Padin can tell us, what do you mean by that? Those that make impact in teaching life are romantics.
Right. uh, romantic.
Mm,
Romantic is defined by those who actually show their heart. They display their heart in their sleeves. They have a wonderful sense of belief, and they have a wonderful sense of sharing. And I think if you want to make an impact, right,
mm,
sharing and actually showing your heart in your sleeve, I mean, showing what you really want out of it is key in terms of number one, getting people to believe what you're trying to do. That's the spiritual part. I think we are all primarily bogged down with all the worldly nature bits. I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to
mm,
plan this, blah blah blah, and so on. And we forget many things um, actually comes from the heart, and it's the inside out operation that we are really looking for. Being a romantic is someone who is in love. The moment that you're in love, you're helpless, but at the same time you believe in it so much that you will do all you can in terms of gaining whatever possible. So
mm,
only those who are romantics that will actually walk with you that extra mile. Only when you're in love, only when you believe in the same end game, only when you appreciate each other, only if you accommodate each other. And these are all romanticisms. This is the real deal. And you know what? I always believe that being a teacher, you need to have this romanticism. You need to have that love that you would show to your students as much as you can in terms of making sure that they would realize what the end game would be, and for them to compare what your vision and what their visions would be and find a congruent point. So this is where romanticism comes about. This is the fire of bits. This is where people fan your fire and you move on. This is it.
mm,
And this is where I think it makes a difference. Walking into class, reading lecture notes,
mm,
securing your syllabus, and walk away? Or would you like to stay there, share your fears, share your beliefs, change the way that they see things, believe in the knowledge that you give them, and walk away smiling? And you know what? You won't walk away far.
mhm,
You've got people following you. And this is when your doors always get knocked. People come down, people talk to you just not about classroom syllabus.
mm,
This is where you win. Because at the end of the day, being in a university, these are not naive boys in a sense, not naive boys and girls. They are smart people. They've deserved the place in the university. I always say, one of the things I say in my class is like, I could throw you a book from the library, each and every one of you. I could throw you a book, and what's going to happen? You know that in 14 weeks' time, you will be sitting on a final exam.
mhm,
By hook or by crook, you will finish the book. By hook or by crook, you will prepare for the exam. But whether that preparation is something that I would help you with and fire you on, make you believe that this is a worthwhile knowledge, am I going to be with you in that journey of understanding? Am I going to be your friend? am I going to learn something from you, which is very important in me. And this is what makes that 14 weeks worthwhile. That laughter, that understanding, that different view.
Yeah.
And that difference is romanticism. That's how I put it.
Now I get you. Now I feel you.
Coming from an engineer, I think that's a bit weird, isn't it?
Oh, that's never crossed my mind. It's just that, I can felt that, from here. The passion, the ideology. I think that's what we need now as as a humankind, and not just because you are studying or you are a lecturer. Thank you,
Thank you.
Fadin, for this opening.
Pleasure.
These
Pleasure.
clarifications that I have about romanticism. All right. Okay. Well, the panel of speaker will be perfect with our next corporate icon, Dr. Megan Clary, joining us real soon. She's a scientist and a business professional who is passionate about innovations and inspiring the next generations of scientists to to find their dream career. What's special about Megan, about her career path, is her impressive agility and capabilities seen as she actually holds many different roles and responsibilities. Dr. Clary's professional experience include patent prosecutions and litigations, product development and strategic marketing, and also commercial operations at leading life science companies like Bio-Rad Laboratories, Illumina, and of course, the superwoman now is now the head of customer relationship management at Merck KGaA, driving a better differentiated customer experience through technology at APAC level. Let's us welcome Dr. Megan Clary, calling in all the way from Australia to join us here. Hi, Megan.
Hi,
Hello.
Catherine. How are
It's
you?
so good
Thank
to
you so
have you here.
much.
I'm good. I'm
Thank you
good.
so
Yeah,
much
I'm
for
good.
inviting me.
It's our honor, Megan. Yeah. So just a quick one. Tell us, has your career advanced as per your plan? How do you actually
No,
seize the opportunity along the way? Because I saw the biography, I was like, oh, so many different roles that require so many different skill sets. And you, as a graduate from PhD in molecular cell and biology, it was like, how did you make it? I mean, how did you make it a success then?
yeah, thank you for the question. So I was training as a chemist when I was an undergraduate, and I had the opportunity to be an intern with the Department of Energy, so with the government. And I thought I would have a long career with the government. When I was in graduate school, though, I graduated in 2018, or sorry, 2008, which was the recession. And so the funding wasn't there and the jobs weren't available. So I actually hosted an alternative careers course. I was
Oh,
very curious about what other careers might be available to someone with my skill set. And in doing that, I ended up learning all about the different career paths that were available to scientists. So we spoke to people from law, from the medical field, from consulting, from science writing. We even had people from Facebook and from museums, even the FBI, special agents from the FBI. And it really gave me hope that I could pursue my passion, which is applied science and technology, in a number of different career paths. So even though it was the recession, I ended up taking a job with a law firm and training as a patent agent. And it was fantastic training that gave me a wonderful foundation to then launch a career in business. And I think like many of the other speakers and panelists who so passionately shared what inspires them, there's constant change. And I think that some of that is economic and some of that is personal. And so when I moved to Australia to be closer to my husband's family, I thought, oh no, if I'm not in the Bay Area, if I'm not in Silicon Valley, I'm not going to have a career in biotech. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I think that there's tremendous growth in Asia Pacific right now, and having the opportunity to work with the different countries and the different teams across Asia Pacific has been a real benefit and experience that companies are really interested in. So yeah, it didn't go anything like I had planned, but I wouldn't trade it.
Thank you for Megan for joining us here. Now that's the lineup for the panel of speaker that we have today for everyone here. Probably Dr. J can bring all the speaker together onto the same screen. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. J. So once again, welcome to the Career in Science webinar brought to you by Merck Life Science Malaysia and also Young Scientist Network Malaysia. Let's transition into the first topic, for today. Let's get to know the true fact about each of these career. Probably I could start off with Dr. Jezamine. Dr. Jezamine, could you explain what is science-based entrepreneurship? Dr. Jezamine, could you unmute your microphone? Yeah, next. Okay.
So I'll probably speak a little bit about my experience and what I've went through in my own personal journey. So I did realize that when I wanted to do my research in stem cells, funding was really difficult. It was not easy to get grants and all. And I truly appreciate every each ringgit that came into my study at that point. So literally at the end of my 7th semester, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure my study is now being translated. How can I actually benefit the society? I felt like it was over after my whole PhD, and I have my whole thesis, and I'm like, okay, so what's next? What do I do with this book? And then I thought, okay, I'm going to pass my work to another student to see if this person could actually follow through. And that was also not happening. Funding was difficult. And with that, I was actually very adamant to pursue further. So that's where I went into researching more on stem cell therapy, what's happening outside in the world. And then I do also realize that, as students, and we are always confined to our own, to our own group of people in this university. We are locally, we hardly go out and find out really, what's happening out there. We hardly network. I think that was lacking I felt in my whole journey. I hardly go out. We went for 2 conferences abroad,
A year.
and that's when you meet the most people. That's when you share ideas, and that's where you want to know where you are standing. Are you doing this alone, or there are other people with you? So I thought, after my research, I didn't want to do my postdoc and stay there. So I wanted to find out what's happening out there. I then started going for a lot of conferences, meeting more people, and then again, I was very adamant to translate my work, into commercially. And then I found out the whole pathway, from my PhD, and then I have to start into my preclinical, my phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and that's going to take another 12 to 13 years. And I'm like, hey, where am I going to get this money? Who's going to fund me? And and I was like, shoot, where do I start? What do I do? I felt I was still, how do I do this? I don't get it. And then I thought, okay, how about getting into a tech transfer and licensing agreement with another biotech company? Okay, possibly I could possibly cut short the whole journey, but in the same industry, and that's when I started speaking to a lot of other biotech partners out there in the world, exploring how we could actually do a tech transfer and licensing. And I found out that it's not cheap either. It's millions and millions, And I somehow found a partner who actually trusted me really well. A very huge research company. They also have education, hospital, they have all this under their umbrella. It's a very huge company, and I'm actually one of the alumni. So I'm currently now actually working very closely with the Manipal group in India. So now they have actually licensed out their research out to me, and they have agreed to do a tech transfer. And they were like, okay, Dr. Jazz, since you are our alumni and I trust you and giving all these things to you, and this is the amount of money that you're meant to raise, and welcome, you're now a startup. So that's how it all started. So I have to say I have very good support. Though they are my business partner, but they do mentor me as well. And then I realized that, to start up a science-based business is literally tougher than your PhD. 10 times tougher, you know,
Mhm,
because now you are in this whole entrepreneur world, you know, you are out there. I don't have an MBA. And now I'm learning
mhm,
on how to
mhm,
raise funds, and someone who's very true of what I do. For me, I this is just a personal thing.
mhm,
I I'm not open to get investors into the company, mainly because I feel like I'm responsible for your money. I'm responsible for every single ringgit you're going to give me, and I felt that, you know, it's too much pressure
mhm,
on me. So I've after speaking to a lot of people, I like, Jasmine, this is how it should go. Get your angel investors in, you know, get individuals, your friends, families, and that's how it is lah. So I'm also going through a whole learning journey.
mhm,
That's a lot of ups and downs. Days
mhm.
when I cry alone in the room, I cry alone in my car. Like, Jasmine, am I doing this right? You know, I have this is phase. I have a phase 4 trials with me right now,
Mm,
and the worst
okay.
part is, regulatory board. They are also not sure what's happening. MOH is so
Mm,
unsure. Where do I park this? Is this a drug? Is this a therapy? Is this a,
mm,
you know, everyone is floating around. So it's number one, it's a very niche industry. It's
mhm,
cutting edge technology. Regulatory is not set up. It's
mhm.
literally parked under a high risk investment, you know.
Yep.
And
Mhm,
yeah, so it is tough. I want to say, I just want to say it's
mhm.
not easy. It is
Yep.
tough, but it's literally a personal ground training for me, I believe,
Mhm,
because every each time I go down, and every each time someone's rejects me or my idea and find me crazy, you know, and my and I'm just trying to enroll, you know,
mm,
I believe that it would be successful, and everyone's like, yeah, you're dreaming.
mhm.
So my job is to turn my dream into reality.
Yes.
And I believe you have to stand still to what you believe in, what you're passionate about. And with that, I think the universe somehow sends the right people to you, because but a lot of hard work. It literally requires a lot of hard work, a lot of sleepless nights,
Mhm,
a lot of, you know, time with yourself and discovering. And there are times that your inner voice tells you to give up, and there are times that
mhm,
you are the only person who can literally pull yourself up, you
mhm,
know. So this, I feel this is a very important journey for me, because it's actually building my personality as an entrepreneur as well,
mhm,
and adding on science entrepreneurship. It's dream to reality, and I'm very passionate and committed to make this to be a reality.
mhm.
So
Yep.
currently I'm in the phase of
Mhm,
registering the therapy, by the
yep.
way.
Mhm,
And yeah, so spoken to government agencies, grants. So
yep.
to keep things short, if you're ever wondering after your
Mm,
master's or PhD what you could venture into, so I did come up with a whole, you know, brief or a flow on how we could actually work this into. Number one, you can
okay.
actually proceed to your postdoc after your PhD. You can venture into academics. Again, there's a,
Mhm,
if you have passion for teaching like Pat Din, and
mhm.
you're so passionate about it. You know, there are some individuals who are really passionate about teaching, you
Yep.
know. So you can venture into teaching. You can now enter into a business world, be a startup like me, and
Mhm,
be very passionate about what
yep.
you do.
Mhm,
And you can even join pharma companies. There's actually a lot of options out there.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but for me, I feel the mindset is very important.
Yep.
And there are
You.
people who's gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Thank
You
you.
you got the point very you really spot on, Dr. Jess. It's not a easy journey, but it's a doable journey. And you have successfully walked through that, and you are able to share with the audience like there's a way, but again, we can only make it happen if we are committed and passionate about what what we want to achieve at the end. Yeah. So right now let's move on to Padin. Padin, what exactly a lecturer do? Or academicians. Sometimes, which is the right word to use then? What exactly you do then
Right.
as a lecturer?
Um, Thanks, Catherine. I always see myself as a teacher of older students. So we teach. I mean, that's the most important thing. And I would love to sort of like share this particular meme that you have. What my parents think I do. So my parents think that I handle very very serious stuff. Really really technical. I mean, they won't understand what I'm teaching. This is university level. So my friends think that. especially during this unfortunate pandemic.
Mhm.
I'm staying home and doing nothing. So those are what my friends do. My students think that I'm here to sort of like give them the hardest questions possible, and to ensure that they fail and come again to see me next semester for the same class. So,
How
so
could you?
no, definitely not, definitely not.
Mhm.
I mean, fly, go away, you know.
Mm.
But I always believe that being an academic, or being a lecturer, or being a
Mhm.
teacher, your fundamental thing is about teaching and learning. It's about finding new knowledge, sharing that knowledge, and making sure that that knowledge makes sense. I mean, you tone it down to a level that it makes a lot of sense, so that people would believe that, yeah, this is definitely something. And the moment that they think that this is worthwhile, they start to share with other people. Well, this is what the academics would say, citations, in a very technical way. So, I mean, when they believe in you, when they understand you, they stuff like spread the thing, and they say, "Oh, Pak Din says so," and this is where things work out well. So, when being an academic, what do I do? So, I always believe in teaching and learning is the first thing, and it is not about the classroom only.
Mm.
As I said, I mean, up to that age, you're handling, individuals which are about 19 to 20, 22, 23. This is the mentorship phase. You don't force them. You mentor them in such a way that they would actually, sort of like look deep dive into themselves and say that this is my responsibility. And it is that makes it work. Very, very important for it to make it work. And while saying that, when I came back from the UK, the approach is very different. The Malaysian way is very documented. So
Mhm.
I remember the first day when I came back to USM. I got my rooms all sorted. I came in. I've got a pile of forms to fill up, and
Mhm.
then I went to see a friend of mine who was already in service for, I think, 3 or 4 years. And I always like to say, what Rumi says. If you're setting on a journey, please ask those who have left home. Don't bother asking those who have never left home. If you're setting up one journey, although each and every person's journey is different, I mean, you can always learn from it. So when I came back, first day, it was 17th of January 2011. I was
Mhm.
there in my room alone. I decided to fill up half of my form, and then I went to see a friend who was in a nearby school, and he was already 3 or 4 years into the service. And I sat down with him, and I, was asking him how it's like. And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's easy, bro. You've got a list of things that you need to do throughout the year, and stuff like do it." And I go like, "Really? How do I find out about this?" Oh, suddenly, all the three words, three letter things come about. Oh, your SKT, your LPP, your BPP, whatever. Every
Abbreviations.
And I go
Mhm.
like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 hold on." You're panicking me now. I says, "Okay, don't worry. Everything is in the system. It's always the Malaysian way. We've got everything systemized. You log in, and you have that read." So I went back to my office, tuned in, and had a look. And the first thing that came up to my mind was, "Oh my God, I'm not Avicenna." That was the first thing that came out of my mouth. So much things to do.
Uh-huh.
It's like people don't realize. People think that, oh yeah, it's easy for you to say. You just teach. You get your PhD. You come home. You teach. You convince a group of 40 people in a class. You clown yourself a bit, and yeah, done. At the end of the semester, you send an assessment. You're done. Well, you know what? We do
Mm.
research and
Mm.
publication. That's one
Yep.
bit. And in research and publication, you've got, of course, your publications, working paper, conferences, patents, industrial design, trademark, copyright, publications related to teaching, research grants. Then you come to other publications, mainstream publications. Then you go to teaching and supervision, undergraduates teaching, postgraduates teaching, a graduate supervision, undergraduate supervision, field supervision, professional service, comes academic recognition, leadership. awards, recognitions, professional affiliations, consultancy, and income generation as part 4, consultancy, products, how much money you come in with, endowment, training courses, gifts, oh God, that service to the university, everything under the sun, services, whatever you can do, community, industry engagement, clinical excellence. I go like,
That's a lot.
okay, what's going on here? But you know what? At the end of the day, do whatever you can, do whatever you believe, do whatever you enjoy doing, because this is where the outputs are. I mean, you can't be Avicenna, man. Seriously. I mean, he's one hell of a gifted dude. but if you want to try, you can definitely go ahead. But you know what? I believe in doing things well. I'm a romantic, you see. So if I were to chase after, if I have to be in a bar and chase after, I'll just go for one girl. I don't sort of like level my odds over 5 girls and see what's going to happen. So yeah, I do one thing well. So that's what I always say to my juniors, do one thing, do that one thing with passion, do it well, and proudly say, stay clean. Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, that's me. That's what we do.
So that's not just at the front, with all these lecture notes. It's more than that. The learning is more than just, and for you, teaching is more than just the textbook syllabus. Yeah, all right.
Definitely.
So let's thank you for sharing that. So Megan, so tell us, how do a typical career or not so typical career path look like for a science graduate to move into corporate world?
Sure. Good question. I think this is where people might not know where to begin. So I would say that in general, there's probably 3 main career paths in corporate, and those would be what we call subject matter experts. So you could be a researcher, you could be an engineer, you could be a salesperson, you could be in quality. Then there's also what we call the project management track, where you are responsible for timelines, delivering projects. And then there's what I'll just refer to as general management. And this is really more where you're managing products or teams, and in a leadership role where you're really the one with the vision about what you want to achieve. And so what I would recommend as far as how someone with a technical background, science training, usually how you would begin at a company would be through tech support. There's also roles, what we call field application scientists. You may have actually worked with some of these people from different companies. They're specialists who can help you solve problems. You can also go into marketing or sales. Companies like life science companies love to hire actual scientists because they know that you can have that deep discussion. Scientists want to know that they can trust you. And to have that conversation, you need to have that technical background. So usually what will happen is scientists by training will start by leveraging their technical background in one of those entry-level roles. And then you can decide if you like being SME and want to stay as a researcher, or then if you maybe want to move into the general management track. But again, there's endless opportunities. I think for the people who are interested in working hard, the sky's the limit, because now, especially with what we call the digital transformation, it's a completely different way of working. And I think that scientists by nature are problem solvers, and so you're very well suited to the corporate world. So yeah, those would be, I think, the general career path for a scientist wanting to get into a corporate profession.
Okay. I'm taking those notes down also, because me myself being in a corporate also, that's something that we can consider. Have you ever come across any like atypical, not so typical career advancement you have seen?
Absolutely. I think and I think it's important to keep that in mind, because I think I know certainly when I was going through my PhD, it was strongly discouraged that if you didn't stay on the academic path, you would never be able to get back into academia. Or in corporate America, it used to be that you had to kind of work your way up the ranks through marketing and then general management. And I think that's completely turned on its head because of technology. And the fact is, with entrepreneurship, people with ideas, people who are good at getting results, I think, that's what is really important. It really is all about the customer. And I think if you can come in with an idea and really inspire people with your vision, I don't think you have to necessarily go that typical career path. It's really about leveraging your skills. And I think this is another important point is you can never stop learning. And I think most scientists are curious, passionate people that want to keep learning. But I think as we've seen even in the past 5 years and this year, change is constant. So you need to constantly learn and evolve with the times. You can't just rest on your laurels or, dust off that PhD. I think you just have to make sure that you stay current with technology. And if you do that, I think there'll be opportunity in many different areas. Yeah.
Good advice, Megan. Learning continues even we have joined the corporate. That's a good advice. Yeah. So now that we have a better understanding about, the true fact about each of the career options, let's now switch gear a bit. Let's clarify some of the wrong assumptions or perceptions about each of these career options. Yeah. Perhaps I can start with Dr. Jess again. Now, there's always an impression that for science-based entrepreneurship or biotech startup is merely a dream. It's not realistic. You could only venture into this field if you are connected with someone, if you know where to get the money. What's your comment about it, Dr. Jess? The microphone. Could you? Yep, it's on then.
So it is a dream.
Yeah.
So, but it takes it takes a lot of commitment to turn that into reality. I think, again, it's about discovering your strength and weaknesses. So this is what I've identified. So if I know I'm weak in something, I learn about it, but I will definitely get help and assistance from someone who is pro in this field. So yeah, discovering your weakness and strength is actually very important. And as a startup, as we all know, your finance is actually very important. So and I happen to be very good at budgeting. So yeah, I find ways to save on your clinical trials. I find ways to do that. And oh yeah, and that's actually what I do on the site as well. So I consult um, two pharma companies at the moment. So those pharma companies who wants to get into research, so I consult on the research side, on your budgeting, and how you should skew your papers in your journal. So that's more on the commercial side. So that's what I do as well. So literally, yeah. So know your strength and weaknesses is the most important thing, and I think it is possible to get through this hurdle. But again, it's all about your mindset. Yeah, and you are going to definitely get people who's going to say no to you, rejection. People's going to put you down, laugh at you for what you're doing alone. So, and I'm actually quite proud as well. Like after my PhD, and I have one leg into science, one leg into the business. So venturing, having a consultancy job is actually quite, for me, I think it's flexible and it does bring me an income as well. So that's what I do on the side as well. So yeah, there's always a solution for everything. It's about us looking out, keep asking how, why, keep asking that, and yeah, you will find a way through.
Yeah. I always
Oh
see
yeah,
that.
one more thing.
Yes. Yeah.
One thing that I actually learned, yeah. So I run a couple of businesses as well. I run uh, I have an entertainment production side that I do. I have a retail outlet in Publica as well. So I do realize when you have a great idea and you have a whole financial plan, you had a whole business plan, it's quite easy to translate that into reality. But when it comes to science, do realize, to all scientists out there, researchers out there, do realize that not all of your science ideas could possibly turn into an entrepreneurship. That's not easy, not easy. So that's why I always tell students, whenever you're drafting out your proposal, whenever you're drafting out your research work, think about how are you benefiting to the society. One, how are you benefiting to our fellow societies out there, to the community. That's one most important thing. And two, secondly, think about the budget concern as well. You have grants from the government. It's easy to get grants in 300,000, 200,000, 500,000 to run your whole research. Now, that is your responsibility. That's tax money. That's government's money. Now, make sure that is sustainable. Important. Always keep your research very sustainable, and you are responsible to translate that and pass that over to another person or translate that into commercial work. So to think big, I think for students out there, straight away think about, how am I commercializing this product? How am I going to get my idea out? And then work backwards. So that will give you a whole good milestone to plan your whole work as well.
Yep. Making impact that is meaningful for so-called humankind. That's something that can sustain by itself, and of course, supported by all this passionate effort to make it happen. Okay, Megan, would like to turn to you for these questions. I also collected from my colleague. Sales professions sometimes is considered as the least respectable profession for a science graduate. What do you have to comment about it, Megan?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think many of us who probably have spent time in the lab and come from the lab might have that perspective or that perception of sales. And I think over time, my perception has really changed. I think that I like to cite a Forbes study. So Forbes did a study with CEOs and said, what is the number one skill that has made you successful? And they all said selling.
Oh.
And I think that's really important to remember, is that if you want to get an idea, a vision, a product sold, right? If you want to influence somebody, you have to have influence. You have to be able to sell. It can be the best product in the world. It can be the greatest idea in the world. But if you don't know how to communicate that and influence other people, you're not going to be successful. So while I know we've all dealt with terrible salespeople, and I think that, that isn't who you have to be. I think, there's also fantastic salespeople out there who are really helpful. And in any kind of role, you're going to be dealing with salespeople. And I think, that art of negotiation, if you can work with them so that you both have a beneficial outcome, I think it can be a really rewarding profession. And I also think that it's challenging. And if you're looking for a good first role outside of the lab, it can be challenging, but you can really help people. And I think, yes, it can also be quite lucrative if you're good at it, if that's what's driving you. But I think that it's a really hard job. And I think, some of the bad sales reps out there perhaps give it a bad rap. But I would certainly consider it if you have a gift, I would say, for being able to influence others. And, if I look at, I see a lot of resumes, and I think sales experience always gives people a leg up, because it shows that they've been the ones out there and really putting themselves out there and helping drive drive the business. So I wouldn't write it off. And if you want a career in corporate in a corporate environment, I think it's almost a must-have.
Almost a must-have. It's a very big assurance that you have provided to us. Yeah. But then, after hearing from business, the interesting world of business, the corporate, now lecturer could be seen relatively like, they're predictable. Some even say lecturer cannot make big money. Is that true? Or what do you have to what do you have to comment about this then? Yeah.
No comments. Oh no, just kidding. Right. Yeah. I think one of the things why I sort of like, I was in the industry for a while, and then I decided to come and sort of like be in the academic line is
Mhm.
the freedom. I think that's one thing. The pace can be crazy. Yeah, it can be. When I was doing my postdoc in the UK, it was one of the, perhaps one of the best universities in the world. The place, the pace, the place, the people is just insane. You just sort of like push yourself to the limit. You're so close to the wall that you can see the texture of the wall and practically whatever's right on the surface. You're really right at the end. But there is also some flexibility that you can always run it at your pace. And this flexibility is this freedom where you can work on things that you believe in. And this is what draws me in. This is what I said, okay, right.
Mhm.
So I can chart my way, my way. And this is a very, very big thing. I also think that many people would say that it's a boring job. You get to do the same things, 8 to 5. Well, not exactly. Um, well, I've given you that plethora of list just now
Mhm.
on things that you sort of like can do, and you know what? You've got a fresh group of aspiring, young, hungry people every
Mhm.
year. You get to see different faces every year. You've got to handle very, very different people every year. And
Mhm.
one batch would go, a new batch would come in. And
Yeah.
it just the balance will always shift, and you will try your best to sort of like pull it near to you. And that kinetics, that mechanism in terms of a human interaction is always insanely dynamic. And this is where I say that no, it's not a boring job. It's a lively job. It's a lively job. And it's I keep saying I jumped from chemical engineering to sort of like doing mesenchymal stem cells when I was doing my PhD. And chemicals are easy. They have a specific pathway, and
Mhm.
A reacts to B and it becomes C and D. Sometimes
Mhm.
it becomes C C D. Sometimes C D D. Whatever it is, but it's there. When you start to culture cells, right? You put it on nice well plates. 5 of them are thriving, 3 of them are dying, 2 are like having a party. The other 6, I don't know. Look really weird. You're dealing with living things. Then this is what makes it exciting. And you know what? I've got a huge. I'm a different person in the sense that I've got a big Liverpool banner
Ben.
in front of my door, and it hides my name. Uh, as I'm always plugged in, I'm always plugged in. I
Mm.
just plugged in the sense that I really want to be close to them.
Yeah.
I don't want them to feel that difference. I'm old. Okay, good. So I don't want all the titles to be in the middle. I'm
Mhm.
handling young people who wants trust, so I would give them trust.
Mm.
But the first trust would be kissing the Liverpool banner coming into my room. Which so they would remember that in a sense that I remember that. And, you would have lectures, and right in the middle you have one PowerPoint of last night's results: Liverpool 4, Spurs nil. Oh, I didn't know how I didn't know how it got there. I'm really sorry. So it makes it lively. It makes it interesting, and each and every one comes to you with different hearts, different things. It's dynamic. About the big money, yeah.
Mm.
No, I'm a romantic. I don't do money. Oh no, I'm just kidding. We are given freedom to do research, consultancy.
Mm.
I'm a chartered engineer. I
Mhm.
do consultancy. I go out. I approach companies. I ask them what the problems are. I
Mm.
always believe that research in the industry and research in the university is non-parallel, if you know what I mean. The industry has their way of doing research. The universities have their ways of doing research. We need to communicate a bit more in terms of making it work. My biggest dream is to have my graduates to be industrial relevant, if you know what I mean. Industry relevant.
Mhm.
It's just not
Mhm.
fundamental lab scale research. and using them as a currency for my promotion. At the end of the day, after 4 years, well, you're up on your own. Sorry, brother, I'm done. My KPI is good. No. It needs more than that. So I aspire to have my graduates to be in touch with whatever they do, and they are basically industry relevant. And you know what? That's where the money is. Again, I agree with Megan. Yep, it's about convincing, isn't it? It's about selling, isn't it? And what do lecturers do best in class? Selling knowledge. And I agree with Dr. Jezamine as well. It's a hard thing to do. It is a hard thing to do, especially when the industry is moving that way and your research is moving that way. So, yeah. So, for the love of God, sit down for a cup of coffee. It's just a couple of hours, sit down for a cup of coffee. You'll find a congruent point somewhere. And this is what I usually do. I get the relevant people, I meet them somewhere. First thing, sort of like talk about football. Oh, you're a Man United fan. Okay, cross. No, I can't do that one. Find a congruent point. And you know what? Somehow the conversation will be fruitful. Believe me. So yeah, I think number one, it's dynamic. We're not the boring people that you see. We don't wear checkered shirts all the time. That's number one. And number two, if you're really into consultancy, and yes, the university has given you freedom generously in terms of exploring your route. So I mean, if you don't believe in consultancy, write books, get royalties from books. If you don't believe in that, then there are plenty of ways, but the freedom is definitely there. Right. That's it for me.
Okay. So it's only it's our own mindset that put the stop to whatever, pursuit that we're going to have. We don't really have to fix our mindset on that. Find a way, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I actually got a message from the organizer that we can actually go 15 minutes extra for these sessions, for there's so many things that we want to cover, with these three guest speakers that we have today. So on the next topic, regardless of whichever career path or options that our audience or is considering right now or about to embark on, it's important that we get to know or understand the required soft skill set or the skill sets needed for the success of each of the career path that we want to pursue. Perhaps I can start with Megan. What do you think is the critical soft skill or skill set that someone want to really, move on, progressing into a corporate ladder?
Sure, great question. I think a lot of people ask this. They want to know what they can do to really get a leg out. I think in addition to the STEM knowledge and problem solving skills, which are really useful in a life science or pharmaceutical company, there's three critical soft skills. I would say first, collaboration. There is nothing that you're going to do that won't be in collaboration with other teams. So it's really important that you are a team player and know how to collaborate to drive results. I would say the second one is communication. You need to be very clear in your written communications and in your day-to-day communications with the organization. I think that that's just essential. And lastly, I think resilience. There is constant change. I think that the corporate environment can be very rewarding, but it can also be quite fast-paced. And I think that resilience and that ability to keep moving forward is critical to succeed. I think also, if I can just touch on a comment that was raised, I think people often think too that you need to be quite politically savvy to have a career in corporate in a corporate environment. And I think that's always really interesting because I've spent time in government roles, in academic roles, and every institution has its politics. So I think what it's really about is understanding the culture and making sure that you know how to navigate that culture to be successful.
All right, very good advice. Collaborations, communications, and being resilient. in whatever conditions. Thanks, Megan. Yeah. Now I would like to take one questions because I think this is it rhymes as well with the questions I want to pose to Dr. Jess. This is coming from Leven Tan. Leven wants to start to congratulate Dr. Jezamine for being so determined and far-sighted with your research. May I ask, at which point did you say to yourself that, hey, my project actually is something big here and it's worth the investment, not just the money, but also time and effort? Yeah. Dr. Jess?
Hi, Vern. Nice. Oh, thank you so much for your comment. Um, well, I understand money is the big thing that everybody wants to. Uh, yeah, that's what everybody need anyway, right? So, but for me, because I am for me initially when I stepped into research world, it was more of how I can contribute back to the society. That's how I even started. So that's why I wanted to become a doctor. Just how I got into med school. That's my goal. So I just felt like this is how I want to contribute to the society with that in mind. And that's when I even started my research. So a little bit more on how I started into this cutting edge technology is when 10 years ago, I remember I met Prof. Kadir. He was the ex-Pengarah of UKM, and he was actually telling me this lovely, lovely, beautiful story. He told me that, do you know how far Malaysia is? We are 10 years behind. In the UK and US, people are already in for their mesenchymal stem cell research. They're already in their phase 2 trials, and we have not even started our pre trials, and we are so far behind. And as usual, Malaysia, we are always this, that. So he went on and that. And he was like, okay, now, Jess, Dr. Jess, this is a cutting edge industry. We do require young Malaysians to, jump into this field and look into this. So I started reading more about it. So it's all about treating unmet, medical diseases. There's no treatment. This is an alternative treatment. So I'm like, okay. So I was passionate about the cause of giving back to the community. So I was not focused on the monetary part, not at all, to be honest with you. Yeah. So this was how I focused. I was determined to finish this at this point, and so that I could, help people who were struggling. And now I'm actually working on critical limb ischemia to treat Burgess disease and to save a limb. Yeah, to literally to save a limb. So yeah, so that was what was driving me, not really about the money. But after my PhD, I started my internship in a stem cell company provider. That's actually when I realized, oh my God, it's a money making industry. So in a way, I'm like, okay, that's I didn't know it cost so much. I've never even actually looked into it, because when I was doing my research, I do the costings and stuff like that. So I kind of know what's the costing and all. And I also now know why commercially they charge this much. And so I get it. I get it. I get the business side and I get the science side. For me, again, I stand strong on what you believe in, the cause, what is your meaning of life, what do you want to contribute. So I stand more towards that, and I believe if you're authentic enough to stand to your principles, the money will somehow come in. Yeah.
So it is the cause, the purpose of the research
Purpose.
that going to draw not just talent, not just effort, but also the money will comes in eventually. For
It
it
will
is a
come
very
eventually.
impactful. Yep, yep. That's. I think that's really coming from here. Then from the intentions and the aspirations of a researcher to give it back to the society, giving something meaningful back to the society. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Jess, for that inspirations. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to a question posted by Ahmad Faisal Fazil. Ahmad would like to ask, what advice can the panel give to us to sell theoretical work like quantum, MD, and all to industries who will trust more on applied research? Pak Din, could you share some insights about it? How would scientists sell all this theoretical work to industry who
I,
tend to trust more, yeah, on those applied
can,
research?
I, can, I, can I pass on this question? Or right, Ahmad Faisal, it's a very good question. I believe that this is one of the early dilemmas of young postgraduate students. They come in um, and they start work on something, and after a while they will develop this belief saying that this is the thing, man. I'm doing this. I'm living the life of science. I'm doing something. I'm adding something to the knowledge body, and you so get engrossed in it, and
Mhm.
you know and you start to say that this is the most important thing in the world, especially for PhD holders. I've made a difference, isn't it? So the moment you go out and you sort of like pitch yourself to your future employers, you would try your best to sort of like accommodate what you've done. I've done some fundamental work, blah blah blah, and so on. All right, great for you to do so. You can. It shows quite a number of characters there. It shows that you really believe in the things that you do. It shows that you're passionate, blah blah blah, and so on. But there is this strange thing of balance. Um, you've got to know your audience as well. I mean, if you were to sell something, I was in interview. I was in an interview for my postdoc, and I was trying to find out who my panels were, and they kept it such a secret. And it was up to a point where I had one of my legs in, when the doors were open. I was like, and there were 7 professors who
Wow.
were like 60 to 67 years old sitting there, and I was the youngish 35 years old person down there sitting down. And I thought, okay, now I've got to impress this group of 60 to 70, 60, 67 years old. I've got to impress this group. And I was thinking that it was an interview. It will be a very technical interview. The first question that came out was, "What was your favorite movie?" And I was
Oh,
like, "Okay."
keep you off guard. Yeah.
I was totally off guard. And afterwards, when I spoke to one of the professors, "Why did you
Mhm.
ask me that kind of question?" And it was like, "It's the real deal, isn't it? You'd come prepared with all the technical stuff. You've rehearsed them. So I'm
Mhm.
just going to ask you some simple question that you haven't rehearsed, and I know the true you would come out, and I would see you through."
Mhm.
And I go,
Yeah,
"Okay, all right, that's nice."
true.
So, but there was thinking, what should I answer? Because at the same time, I want this conversation to last. So my favorite movie was The Shawshank Redemption.
Mhm.
But I don't think that it's going to strike a chord with this group of 60 to 67 years old, human beings. So I was saying, wow, I was buying time. It's a wonderful question. I'm a big movie goer. I've got lots of things going on in my head at the current moment. At that time, I was choosing what would be the best thing.
Mm.
And it dawned to me that Ben-Hur would be a good choice. Why? Prior to Titanic, Ben-Hur had the most nominations for the Oscars. It was during their time, the timeline was right. They would know it. It was Charlton Heston. I've watched it. So I thought, yeah, let's give it a go. So I sort of like mesmerized them with the statistics that I had, blah, 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 and so on. They were like, really? Are you sure you're 35? You're watching this kind of movies? I said, yeah, it's a real classic. And one of them came around and said, "Oh yeah, it's a total classic, Charlton Heston. You remember that scene where he was on a chariot? It was going down the cliff. It was right at the corner. One of the wheels were coming off, and he jumped. Somersaulting. You know what? I couldn't remember that, and I just declared that it was my favorite movie. And I thought, my God, what have I got myself into? And you can do 2 things, knowing your audience. Again, you're gonna continue selling your fundamental, or you're just gonna stop and say like, okay, let's do it this way. And my signal was, should I say like, yeah, it was good, isn't it? And hopefully the conversation would peter out, or I can just say like, to be honest with you, this is what I said. I'm really ashamed now because I've been saying that this is my favorite movie, but at the end of the day, it is not. I couldn't remember the scene, Still, I tried to salvage it by saying, were you watching some editor's cut or something like that? Because I really can't remember that scene. It was impossible for me not to remember it. And you know his reply? Oh, I was just playing with you. There's no such scene. So at the end of the day, I think it comes to a conclusion. Yeah, it comes to a conclusion. Number one, it's really, really respectful for you to know the audience. You can sell your bit, yes, but do it tactfully. You know that that company has a lot of interest in terms of applied research. Thus, get your knowledge of applied research, back it up with what you have done, and relate that well. That is the only way you're going to pitch it out. You can't convince a company that has been doing 40 years of applied research to buy on your 4 years of PhD theoretical work. It's going to be a hard way. Don't make it hard. Don't make it hard. But do have it. Do put it in a way that it shows that you're proud of it. It shows your discipline in terms of making change, and tell them what you're passionate in. So I think, yeah, I'm just gonna stop there. Right? Thanks.
Thank you, Pak Din. Hope that answer your questions, Ahmad. You know, that's quite a good advice, you know,
Amazing
knowing.
answer, though.
It
Yeah.
is. And it can apply for both, whatever that we are pursuing, actually, whatever we are doing. We do have more questions, but unfortunately, the time is not on our side. But before we close these sessions, I would like to take this time to inform that Merck Life Science Malaysia, we do offer internship for those who are interested to have an experience, some commercial experience. So all you need to do is visit to Merck Life Science Malaysia Facebook, look for the internship advertisement, and click on to submit the needed document or informations. Then we will get back to you then. Yeah. Once again, on behalf of Merck Life Science Malaysia and also Young Scientist Network, we thank all the panel speakers for their time, for your insights and sharing to all the audience. Personally, I do have a lot of bring home for, you know, food for thoughts on next move, or even, you know, share it with my colleague and friends, or even those customer that we are meeting in the university and many other places. Yeah. Any closing remark? A quick one from the panel. I hope it's a great session for you all.
Yes,
It was
yes, it was.
wonderful.
Definitely.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
those questions that are posted on our Facebook, we will get back to you, you know, after this. We see whichever way that we can get back to you. Last but not least, I just want to also say gratitude and thank you to Dr. J, who is actually the man, the tech man behind all this technology platform to actually help, you know, with all this uninterrupted streaming of all 3 sessions of webinar series. Thank you, Dr. J. Although Dr. J is not on the screen, he can see us. Yeah. And to you audience out there, if you enjoy the sessions and you think that it could be valuable to your colleague, to your friends, please feel free to actually share the recorded version from Merck Life Science Malaysia Facebook and also Young Scientist Network Facebook. Share it to them. Let them also gain some insights or inspirations from here. Yeah. 2020 has presented us with many challenges. However, we have made it this far. And as it draws to the close of this year, let's focus what's matter the most to every one of us. Now, for us at Merck and also Young Scientist Network, we do already started to plan for all the next series of events that we want to actually share with the audience for 2021. So stay tuned, and we're going to post it, you know, on this on our platform, our Facebook platform, and we would like to invite you all to actually embark on the next milestone together with Young Scientist Network. Till then, thank you for watching, and remember, if you want to change your future, take actions now, and success will be waiting for you then. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.